Hello everyone, and today I'll be bringing you the basic Warlock guide. Keep in mind that the Warlock can be played in a multitude of ways, and I'm really not... How can I say this? The basic Warlock deck, using basic cards, has certain aspects of the Warlock, but not all of them. So keep in mind that the Warlock has various playstyles, and don't just assume that by being able to play the basic deck, you are able to play the Warlock to its full potential, as there are other cards which are not basic cards, which help the Warlock excel in a multitude of ways. So just keep that in mind, do your research on the Warlock if you're interested in it. But today I'll be just talking to you about the basic Warlock and how I think this might be one of the best Warlock decks with basic cards in them. So the first thing we're going to look at is the mana curve. And with the basic Warlock, as you can see, it's got a strong early game and a strong mid game. So you could potentially rush someone down, or you could get board control, or you could just establish a strong mid game, or just tough it out until the late game too. Like I said, there are a multitude of ways. These are only three I just mentioned. And the hero card is a strong ability, and that's life tap. It takes 2 of your health points from your hero and uses those 2 health points to draw a card. As I said, card draw is very, very important in some situations, as if you have more cards in your hand, you have more options against your opponent, which is always good. First card we'll be looking at is Soulfire, and it deals 4 damage to anything, whether it be the opponent hero. You could use it as a finisher for the hero. I guess if you're lacking 4 damage to finish the game, for example, or you could use it to take care of big minions if you don't have board control. And you could also just use it when you have no other cards in your hand, as the downside to it is, since it's 0 mana and does 4 damage, you have to throw away a random card in your deck. The game chooses which random card this is. So if Soulfire is the only card in your hand, you can use it and it would discard nothing. And that would be a free 4 damage nuke for 0 mana. So it's a good and bad card. It throws away card advantage if you use it recklessly, but it gains you board control if you use it correctly, and it's a good finisher if you need it. So it's got a multitude of ways of being used. The next 2 cards, actually, I'll talk about them together. Let's look at Mortal Coil, as it's the more simpler one. Mortal Coil is a spell. It costs 1 mana and it deals 1 damage to a minion, and if that minion dies, you get to draw a card, which is always good. Drawing more cards with life tap, drawing more cards with Mortal Coil, have more cards in your hand, more options. But you may think to yourself that 1 damage isn't really much. That's when Elven Archer comes in, and you have to consider that we've got 2 Mortal Coils and 2 Elven Archers. So when you play Elven Archer, it's got a battle cry. As you can see, the minion only does 1 damage and only has 1 HP. But the nice thing is, when you play it, it gets a free 1 damage off any random minion, or I guess any random minion on the board. So I can play it. It does 1 damage to a minion with 2 HP. Then after that, you can Mortal Coil that minion and kill it, and then you draw a card. So these 2 cards go hand in hand in the basic Warlock deck. They're really good. They really work together well. So you just lay down Elven Archer, or you can lay down 2 Elven Archers, then you can use the Mortal Coils to finish off any survivors if there were 2 hit point minions on the board. Swamp Ooze, like I said, is almost a must in every basic deck, actually it is a must, as there's no other way to deal with weapons, and it's got good stats overall as a 2-drop. Bluegill Warrior is a 2-1 with charge, and like I said, since the Warlock can be played in a various number of ways, you can use your Bluegill Warriors and Elven Archers to start off a rush down if possible. The Novice Engineer is what you use for card draw. Again, you play the card, you get to pick another card from your deck on that same turn, which is always good. But like I said in the previous videos, Novice Engineer was nerfed, so if you feel the card isn't working for you anymore, simply discard it and use another card you think works for you better. The next card we'll be looking at is 3 mana cost, and is Shadow Bolt, and it deals 4 damage to a minion. This is used to try clear the board of any minion, usually 4 mana or less. Because usually those minions that are 4 mana or less usually have about 4 hit points or 4 health. So you could use this to clear them off the board. for 3 mana and try establish some board control for yourself. Shattered Sun Cleric, bread and butter in every basic deck, as it's used to buff other minions, and like I said, if you play it alone, it's not such a great card, but really overall it's a decent card and can be seen in some expert decks too. Hellfire is one of the Warlock's AoE. I don't know if it's the only... there seems to be another one. But it's one of the Warlock's AoEs. But this one, you have to be really careful with it, as it does 3 damage to everything. The opponent's minions, and the opponent, and your minions, and yourself. It does 3 damage to everything on the board. It doesn't select. And this can be good when the opponent has swarmed the board and they're trying to rush you down, and you have no cards on the field, so you can use Hellfire to try clear the deck and then restart the situation with placing more minions on the board. Chill Wind Yeti's great stats, like I've said before in the previous videos. 4 mana for 4 damage and 5 HP really is unrivaled in most basic cards. The next card we'll be looking at is Gnomish Inventor, and it's 4 mana for 2 hit points, which is not so great, but 4 health, which is okay. And you can use this to draw a card, which is always fantastic. And you can use the Gnomish Inventor to clear other smaller creeps, as it trades really well with its 4 health points. The Sanjin Shield Master would be your only taunt in this deck, it's a decent taunt card, and out of the basic cards, this has to be one of the best taunt cards next to Void Walker, I would think. I don't know, I highly rate Void Walker because of the the sound effects and the voice acting that was done on the Void Walker card. But I think it's also a good card you could fit in this deck, but the problem is that Void Walker depends on which type of Warlock deck you're doing. Like I said, the Warlock can be played in a multitude of ways. Feel free to research on this, and I'm sure in one of them you'll find Void Walker in them instead of Sanjin Shield Master. So you've got a choice either to take the Shield Master or the Void Walker. Next card we'll be looking at is Boulder Fist Ogre. Like we said, excellent stats, 6 mana, 6 damage, 7 HP, trades well with many big creatures, and really, it's just a good card overall. Like for example, in this page I just came up with right now, it trades better than all of these cards, and it's really a good card overall to have in any basic deck. Our next AoE, which is also a minion, is Dread Inferno. This will be your second AoE for your basic Warlock deck, and it deals 1 damage to all other characters. This includes like their hero, their minions, when you play the card, and then it's a 6/6 as well for 6 mana, which is almost as good as the Boulder Fist Ogre. So just think about having 2 of those on the field. You really pose a threat to the opponent hero, and you'll have to find a way to clear both of them off the board, which would give you significant board advantage, as the person is dedicating so many resources for just 2 cards, which is the point of them. And our last card is gonna be Stormwind Champion. The reason why we have 2 Stormwind Champions in this deck is because if you are playing a rushdown Warlock, you can use the Stormwind Champion in the late game to buff all the minions by giving them an extra 1 damage and an extra 1 health, which is always good, which can help you steamroll and take the late game to your victory, as you'll have many minions on the board which get this buff as well. So generally this is the basic Warlock deck. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. If you learned something, please feel free to like the video. If you did not learn anything, feel free to dislike the video. But either way, whether you learned or not, please feel free to share the video. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next few videos. Actually, I think I'll be now covering the last few classes. I think this would have to be Mage and Priest, if I'm not mistaken. Catch you on those videos later, guys. Thanks for watching.